The bright lights of Madison Square Garden were blinding, yet they seemed dim compared to the radiance of the woman standing center stage. Camila Hart, the world-renowned pop singer whose voice had swept across continents, was in her element. Her sequined gown shimmered as thousands of fans screamed her name, waving banners and phones high into the air. It was the final show of her world tour, a crowning jewel in a career that had spanned over 2 decades. But for Camila, the adoration had become routine, something she soaked in but no longer marveled at. To the world, she was untouchable, untarnished, perfect. Inside, though, she carried a secret buried so deep, she sometimes convinced herself it had never happened. That secret had a name. At 18, Camila had been nothing more than a scared girl in a small town with a voice that could break glass and a heart that had broken far too soon. She had fallen in love with a boy who promised forever but vanished the moment responsibility came knocking. Pregnant, ashamed, and terrified, Camila made the hardest decision of her life. She gave the baby up. Through a closed adoption, she signed the papers with trembling hands, tears streaming down her face as she whispered an apology into the sterile air of the hospital room. The child, a baby girl with startling gray eyes, was carried out of her life before she even had the chance to count her fingers twice. Camila swore she would never look back. Instead, she poured every ounce of her pain into her music. The rest was history. A meteoric rise, platinum records, sold-out tours, and global fame. Yet, every time she sang a ballad of loss, her chest tightened with a phantom ache she could never quite explain. In the audience that night, amidst thousands of screaming fans, sat a young woman named Alara. Unlike those standing, jumping, and dancing, Alara remained still, confined to a wheelchair. Her hands trembled with excitement as she clutched a handmade sign. "Your songs kept me alive. I love you, Camila." Alara was 21 years old, though her thin frame and fragile posture made her look younger. Born with a degenerative muscle disease, she had spent most of her life in hospitals, her body growing weaker year by year. But despite her condition, her spirit was fierce. And music, especially Camila Hart's, was her fuel. When her friends surprised her with tickets to Camila's final tour show, Alara thought it was the happiest day of her life. She dreamed not just of seeing her idol perform but maybe, just maybe, getting noticed even for a second. As Camila performed her final encore, Alara lifted her sign higher, her voice hoarse from shouting, "Camila! Camila!" Her friends tried to help, pointing and calling toward the stage. The spotlight swung across the crowd, landing briefly near their section. For one fleeting second, Alara was certain Camila's eyes met hers. But Camila's gaze slid away. She smiled for the cameras, blew kisses to the crowd, and exited the stage without so much as a nod in Alara's direction. Alara's heart sank, heavy as stone. Backstage, Camila's team buzzed around her, praising her flawless performance. The singer accepted the compliments with a practiced smile, but her mind kept drifting back to that section of the audience. The wheelchair, the sign. For a reason she couldn't explain, her chest tightened with guilt. She had seen the girl. She had looked away. Security was trying to push me toward the exit, she told herself, though no one had asked. There wasn't time. Yet the image haunted her. The hopeful eyes, the fragile frame. She shook it off, drowning her unease in champagne as she mingled with executives and VIPs. Meanwhile, Alara and her friends were leaving the arena. She tried to stay positive, joking lightly, "Well, maybe she didn't see me. Probably too many lights in her eyes." But her smile was thin, her voice quivering. Deep down, it felt like being invisible all over again. A pain she knew too well. The next morning, Camila's assistant walked into her hotel suite, holding a stack of fan letters that had been delivered overnight. Among them was an envelope decorated with shaky handwriting and stickers of musical notes. Something about it made Camila pause. She tore it open. Inside was a letter written on lined notebook paper. The handwriting was uneven, but the words struck Camila like arrows. "Dear Camila, I've been in a wheelchair my whole life. Your music made me feel like I wasn't trapped, like I could fly. Last night was the best night of my life, but I don't think you saw me. I was holding a sign that said your songs kept me alive. That's true. I've spent more days in hospitals than I can count, but your voice gave me strength. Even if you never notice me, thank you for saving me. With love, Alara. Camila's throat tightened. She read the letter again, her hands trembling. The name tugged at something deep inside her. She couldn't place it immediately, but it gnawed at her, refusing to let go. Find out who this girl is, she told her assistant. I want to meet her. It didn't take long. Through fan club contacts, Camila's team traced Alara to a small rehabilitation center on the outskirts of the city. Camila arrived unannounced, her sunglasses and hat doing little to disguise her. When Alara saw her, she gasped, nearly dropping the book in her lap. See, Camila? Camila knelt beside her, taking her hand. I read your letter, she said softly. I should have stopped last night. I'm so sorry. Alara shook her head, eyes brimming with tears. No, you don't have to apologize. This is more than I ever dreamed. As they spoke, something strange stirred within Camila. The girl's gray eyes, stormy, familiar, pulled her back to a hospital room 2 decades earlier, to the baby she had given away. Her breath caught. Alara, she whispered, do you know anything about your biological parents? Alara hesitated. Only that I was adopted as a baby. My adoptive mom said my birth mother was very young and couldn't take care of me. I never blamed her. I just always wondered. The world tilted for Camila. Her chest constricted, and tears filled her eyes. Alara, she said, her voice breaking, I think I'm your mother. At first, Alara thought it was some cruel joke. But when Camila's team discreetly confirmed the adoption records, the truth unraveled with undeniable clarity. The famous singer she had idolized her whole life wasn't just her hero. She was her mother. The revelation left them both shaken. Alara wept, torn between joy and disbelief, while Camila clutched her, whispering apologies for the years lost. I was so young, Camila explained, sobbing. I didn't know how to take care of you. I thought giving you up would give you a better life. Not a day passed that I didn't think of you. Alara touched her face gently. You were always with me, even when I didn't know it. Every song. You were already speaking to me. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. The media erupted when the story leaked. Camila Hart reunites with long-lost daughter. Critics accused her of orchestrating a publicity stunt, while fans praised the heartfelt reunion. Camila ignored the noise. For once, the spotlight didn't matter. What mattered was the fragile young woman in the wheelchair who carried half of her heart. Camila began visiting Alara daily. They talked for hours about music, about life, about all the years stolen from them. Slowly, they built a bond that fame and time had tried to erase. And then came the day Alara looked at her with tears in her eyes and said, You didn't ignore me, Mom. You just didn't know me yet. Camila poured her heart into writing a new song, one unlike anything she had ever released. It wasn't about love, fame, or heartbreak. It was about a daughter lost and found, about regret and forgiveness, about two souls who had always been connected through melody. When she performed it for the first time, Alara sat at the side of the stage, smiling through tears as the crowd swayed to the hauntingly beautiful tune. The world saw a superstar reclaiming her humanity. But for Camila, it wasn't about the world anymore. It was about the girl in the wheelchair, the daughter she thought she had lost forever, and the miracle of finding her again. Not every story of abandonment ends in healing. Not every secret finds the light. But for Camila and Alara, music had always been the bridge, even when they didn't know it. Camila once feared her past would destroy her. Instead, it gave her back the one thing she never knew she was still searching for, her child. And in that discovery, both mother and daughter learned that sometimes, the people we ignore are the ones who hold the pieces of our souls.